And without further ado, I'd love to welcome the lovely Viv onto the stage. I'll just, as I've messed up the presentation, there you are.
Good evening, ladies. Can you all hear me on this mic?
Yeah.
Can you see me on the back? I'll pop it clear. Right, I'm going to shout at you all now. Ladies, thank you very much for this opportunity to talk to you tonight. Well, that's really echoing now as well. Can I get you all to stand up, please? Can I get you all? Sorry. Can you all still hear me? Happy days. Can I get you all to stand so you have perfect balance on both your feet? So you're weighing yourself nicely between your left and your right. I'd like you to all put your right hand out in front of you. I'd like you to create an OK. I'd like you to place that OK on your chin. On your chin, ladies. How many done exactly what I did? You can all sit down again. Ladies, that's just to give you a bit of an insight into how we're driven and how we then behave. Do we act on what people say to us, or do we act on what we see in front of us? Sometimes we can be really swayed by people round about us, and that's not really bringing balance to us because we're doing what we think other people want us to do. Now, anybody who knows me knows that I can talk for Scotland and Northern Ireland. So I've written some notes just to keep myself on track, and I know we're running for time now. So, introduce myself. My name is Vivian McKinnon, and I own HydroEase, Northern Ireland's only flotation centre, offering zero gravity and restricted environmental stimulation therapy. I also own Wellness Consultant NI, where I offer wellness and mental health training on a one-to-one group work basis for individuals and for corporate groups alike. I have a master practitioner. I'm a master practitioner in neuro-linguistic programming, timeline therapy, hypnosis. I'm a certified cognitive behavioural therapist. I'm a qualified counsellor. I am one of only 7 Havening practitioners in Northern Ireland. I'm the only spectrum performance emotional coach. I'm an auricular acupuncturist. I'm a laughter yoga instructor. You name it, I have spent the last 14 years studying it, and studying it to the point to finding what brings balance to me. Because you see, my life wasn't always like this. Growing up, I dealt with many different things. The biggest thing being a mum who was struggling with mental health and addiction. Because of that, I then spent quite a bit of my life where I had lots of different experiences by age 7, most of them quite traumatic, which then enabled me to be, I was always looking for safety. I was living in a world full of fear, and I found it really difficult to connect to who I was as a person. By age 8, I'd experienced all sorts of things. But I remember when I was about 6 or 7 years old, being so frightened that I would wet myself every time my mum spoke to me. I had a skin condition that went from the top of my head to the bottom of my toes. My elbows were always bleeding. I always had parts of me that were split open. But what I also remember is the precious times where my mum was sober and clean, and I was able to sit up beside her on the couch and see that feeling of being connected, that feeling of being safe and secure, like nothing else absolutely mattered. See, I was fortunate enough to have a mum who was living with that, because that then enabled me to be who I became, but ultimately who I'm destined to become. You see, I started my 20s and I was on the street with a 2-year-old. I was fleeing a domestic violence relationship, and I was just ready to go into police protection. I became an adult who was scared, who was stressed, who was constantly running from something, and I didn't even know what it was, but I knew that it started in here. And you can never run from what's in here. Alcohol and cannabis, at that point, had been my friend for about 5 years. From there on in, they were joined by cocaine, amphetamine, you name it, and we all became best friends together. They supported me to avoid the pain that I had from within me. I finished my 20s and I was in ICU. They suspected meningitis, but basically my body and my mind had went, we're not doing this anymore. We're out of here. We're absolutely not doing it. I was so overloaded with stress and trauma and trying to work out the purpose of who I was, what was my life about. I never really had met me at that point. I knew there and then that things had to change. If they didn't change, I was going to end up in a box or in a padded room rocking backwards and forwards. I was absolutely worn out. I was exhausted. I didn't know what to do. So I started my 30s and I challenged everything I believed about myself. I raised over £42,500 and I went out to China to walk the Great Wall with 50 people I'd never met before in my life, having panic attacks every 20 minutes, having to go into the toilet saying, I'll be back in a minute, I'll be back in a minute, going and trying to calm myself down, trying to remember the reasons why I was making this change and challenging the beliefs that I had. At that point, just after that, I met a lovely man who's seen so many different things inside me. And he could see it, but I couldn't. But back then, as I've told you already, I was a great self-sabotager. I couldn't stand the ground that I walked on, so I dumped him, because that's what you do when you're a self-sabotager. Then at age 33, I entered a float tank. And oh my God, ladies, I still can't even fully put into words what happened in that float tank. The voice inside my head that said, you're not good enough. What are you doing that for? Oh, you're so stupid. Why would anybody want to do that? You're not going to do that. Oh, you're not going to speak to that. Or you're not. It was just like completely stopped. Silence. Absolute silence. The hypercritical voice had just gone. My pain-racked body was completely eased. I was completely disconnected from it. I didn't feel like I even had a body. I was just lying there, just being me, and just having that serenity and that quietness to find out, who am I? And what is this experience? And what's happening here? And this is a spa. Why that? This is a mental. What's going on? So I came out and I spoke to the lady and I said to her, that was amazing. Like, what happened in there? What is that? And she said that it's lovely, isn't it? And I was like, no. What happened in there? And she said, oh, it's just lovely and relaxing. It's a lovely spa treatment. I said, that's not a spa treatment. That's a mental health intervention. That moment in there, I was back on that couch, was that 6 or 7 year old, cuddled up, feeling comfy, feeling safe and secure. That was it, I wanted to know more. I found myself on a crusade to find out what had happened inside that tank that day. I threw myself into learning, as I've already told you. Went to college, went to university, travelled the world and trained with some of the most respected and reputable teachers in the world, all while making sense of me, all while bringing balance to who I was as a person. And I thought, I could help others to do the same here. If I can cut this journey down for somebody and allow them to create that change that they desire within themselves, that would be fantastic. That would be like the best thing I could do in the world. So I started committing to things rather than trying. Oh yeah, I'll try that. No, I'll commit to that. Because when you commit to something, you commit to it, you see it through. You don't have problems, you have challenges. It's all about how you represent it to yourself within your own mind. I started responding to situations rather than reacting. I became open and flexible to the possibility of who I could become. I had this vision of who could I become? The only expectation I have in life these days is no expectations. Everything I do has no ceiling, has no bottom on it. So I just keep going and keep going and keep going. I finished my 30s by moving here to Northern Ireland and really stepping into my power, leaving behind all that stuff. Leaving behind being the girl who lived in the village with mum who was the drunk who got picked up at night, with a dad who was trying to hide everything, with a single parent, with that poor girl. I moved away from all that and came here to Northern Ireland. I started my 40s on a beach in St Lucia. Remember the guy I dumped back that while ago? Well, I managed to go back to him. 8 years, he said, well, at least I'm glad you made your mind up and you knew exactly what it was you were wanting. I had the ability to see this version that he had always seen. And isn't it funny how we can make life be whatever we want it to be? We just have to believe that we can. You see, because every second of every day, we are met by between 2 and some scientists are now saying 40 million pieces of information. So growing up, I was met by these between 2 and 40 million pieces of information, coming in from the external environment round about me, coming in through my 5 senses. I believed others were unreliable, untrustworthy. So what happened with these pieces is they come in and they go through filters where you delete, you distort, and you generalize the information available to you. Because you can only pay attention to between 5 and 7 chunks, which, when you break it right down, is 134 pieces. If you have between 2 and 40 million pieces available, you find 134 to convince yourself that you're unreliable, that you're untrustworthy, that you're vulnerable, that other people are dangerous. And you'll find them continually in everything. at the cost of anything else that dispels that belief. What that then does is creates an internal representation. Now, my internal representation up until age 33 was to protect myself, was to ensure that nobody else could get in, was to continuously look for that safety. That then creates a state, which creates a physiology, which creates a behaviour, and that's what we do. My behaviour was to get as blocked as I could for as long as I could, to avoid the pain for as long as I could. But see, going right through the pain and then coming out the other side of it, there's now nothing that's there. There's nothing that stops me now. Ladies, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to have a look at this slide, and I just want you to shout out for me. How many F's are in that statement? F. F for Freddie. How many F's? Shout out, numbers. 3, 4, 6, 5, 2, 3. What? Hang on. Are we not looking at the same thing? We are all looking at the same thing, aren't we?
6.
Andy, what do you think? Ladies, there's 6 F's in here. So those of you who have seen F's, the reason we think there's 3, 4, 5, or 6 is when we read the word off, we read it as of. So we read the F as a V. So even though our eyes are telling us quite clearly that that's what's there, our mind's processing it as a V. So we're reading it within our own heads. How much of the world are we doing this with? How much of the world do we actually pay absolutely no attention to? Because we have these labels from the past and labels of the things that we think we know, the things that we think we can do, and we cut out all this other stuff. Imagine if we were able to see all the F's and everything, even though there's no F's and everything. I would like... Do you like that? What I want you to do is I want you to, if you could listen to this for me. You've probably never seen this.
Yelly. 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 Yelly.
What did you hear?
Yanni.
Yanni. You said oral. Isn't that interesting? How everybody hears something very differently. Because we all vibrate at a very different frequency. How many times have you heard a song and you're like, oh, that's my jam. I'm getting up and dancing to that, and somebody else is like, oh, I flipping hate this song. This gets right on my nerves. We all should vibrate between 62 and 68 megahertz. And that's what keeps us well. If we go below that, we'll become higher susceptible to mental health conditions. So keeping your vibration up and keeping yourself on an even keel by keeping the way that you process things, and as much as at the end of the day, we all see the world from our own perspective. And it's making sure that it is your perspective and it's not influenced by other people, or not influenced to the point that it's creating some disconnection from within yourself, because your balance will go off. Hang on. We've heard Jen. So, whether you believe in theology or you believe in Darwin's theory of evolution, the fact remains, our equipment is so outdated. Our equipment, hundreds of thousands of years ago we evolved, and we evolved like this. We struggle so much with things like we're not supposed to live the way we live. It's so fast, if you have between 2 and 40 million pieces of information, you can't possibly take it all in. If you were on a computer, it would just go, or you'd have to have the biggest processor in the world. It just wouldn't happen. In terms of revolution, in terms of revolution, we went through the first revolution, the first industrial revolution in 1784, where our lives changed massively. We changed with the production of steam, and things became mechanised, steam-powered. We had weaving looms. What this then done to our lives, for us as people, changed it massively. This was the first technology and convenience we ever seen. The second industrial revolution involved electricity in 1870. And this looked at mass production and assembly lines and your 9-to-5 jobs and your shift patterns and things like that were all brought in also. The third industrial revolution was automation, computers, information technology and the internet. And we all know what that has done. About 8 years ago, we came into the fourth industrial revolution. This not only changes what we do, but it affects who we are as people. So it looks at things like, it changes our identity, because we're always looking at things online and looking at all these things and who are we? Should it be like this? Should it be like this? Is that what we should look like? Our sense of privacy. Nothing's private now because it's all over the internet. Our notions of ownership, our consumption patterns. How many steps did I do today? How many hours of sleep have I had? We all have something that'll tell us that. The time to work, pleasure times to meet people, nurture relationships, all things that support us to bring balance to Bray and me. And sometimes I wonder, what does this mean for our health and life in general? This unstoppable integration of technology could diminish the quintessential human capabilities we have towards ourselves, like compassion, like understanding, kindness, empathy, the ability to just be, to pause, to reflect, to engage in meaningful conversation with people around about us. What does this mean for our sense of self? Well, I think I've already spoken about that one. We can lose ourselves when we're not connected to exactly who we are and constantly being stimulated by all these things that are around about us and spending all our time looking at the technology that's out there. Neither is the technology that's in here. Every single thing you need is in you right now, right at this moment as you sit in this chair. We spend 80% of our energy every day fighting the effects of gravity. So simply sometimes if you're not feeling your best, getting up at your bed can be enough to make you say, I'm not doing this today. I am not doing this today. So if we were a computer, we'd constantly have this on our forehead. The latest updates have already been installed. We don't need them. We'd constantly have this on our forehead. Low battery, because we're using 80% of it anyway. We've used 80% simply getting out of bed. But ladies, what if we could take away that 80%? What if we could give you that back? I give you flotation therapy. Flotation therapy removes gravity and eases the pressure from our weary bones. This is the perfect antidote to modern life. It gives you an hour away, 2 hours, however long you want to stay in the cabin. It offers a place to connect. For me, it took me back to that place. It took me back to being that 6, 7-year-old sitting on that couch with my mum. You can feel safe in there because there's only you. You can escape from technology. You can decide to be kind and compassionate to yourself. You can rest and repair. You can reset your mind. And you can allow your system to just revive itself. And all these other lovely things that are up here. Now, if I start keeping talking about flotation, I'm going to be here for a long time, so I'm going to just go off of this now. But it really is something to be experienced. I know there's a few of you in the room that have tried flotation therapy, and the conversations I've had with you after it is, oh my God, what just happened there? Or what we had a guy, the lovely Judith who works alongside me is in the room, and we had a gentleman who came out completely naked one day, holding a towel, and he was like, oh my goodness, was that an hour? And we were like, yeah, and he was like, how bizarre. Turned around and we just seen his bare bum just going back in the cabin. And we looked at each other like, did that just happen? And we're like, of course it did, it's HydroEase. Anything can happen in here. We need to get our illustrious leaders in Stormont into HydroEase. We'll solve this country like that. But anyway, so that's the flotation therapy. I also offer all the things I told you about at the beginning, all the things that I do, all the things that I have, all the approaches that I've used and able to get me from A to B and have C, D, E, F, G in sight. I use together with flotation therapy. A lot of the approaches I use will invite your mind into delta wave. Delta wave activity is associated with deep restful sleep. It's where your core beliefs are. It's where your root cause for your problems are. If you then do that and then go into a flotation tank, your mind then comes up into theta state. Theta state is your learning and consolidation state. So it means that you can make sense of the change you've just made for you. Because whether you're the best therapist, you're the best physiotherapist, acupuncturist, cognitive behavioural therapist, hypnotist, whatever, we're using our knowledge of the human body on your human mind and body. But in Raft, it's your mind and body, using its knowledge of your mind and body to create the change that you want for yourself. I've lost where I am in my notes, so I'm just going to freestyle. What I would like to do, how much time do I have?
How about you top 3 tips through here for what we've done to do?
What I would like you to do, ladies, right? I've talked about creating delta wave within the brain. What I'd like you to do is scientists have found we have an acupressure point here, 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 and the middle of your hands. You rub your hands together like that, you instantly activate 32 acupressure points. So I'd like you just to do that for me. I'd like you then to cross your arms across your body and put your hands from the top, oh, that's really close, from the top of your shoulders down to your elbows. From the top of your shoulders to your elbows. And what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to bring the focus of your attention to your breath as you're doing that. And I'd like you to think about something in your business right now. It's maybe just not going the way you want it to go. Or maybe someone in your business or an experience or something that you maybe just want to work on. Something not too heavy. Give a score between 0 and 10. And then what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to imagine a beautiful scene. Something somewhere in your mind. You can close your eyes if you like. And what I'd like you to do is count with me 10 things you can see in that scene. So from the minute I count 1 and then keep going, I want you to keep seeing something different in that scene. And I want you to count out loud with me. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'd like you to think and imagine that you're in the middle of Belfast and you're people watching. There's lots of different people going by. And what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to count every single smiley, happy face that you see going by. And I'm going to count it loud, and I'd like you to count it loud with me. And when I count them out, I want you to see them. I want you to see these smiley, happy faces going by. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'd like you to open your eyes. I'd like you to go back to what you were thinking about to start with about that thing that was annoying you. And I'd like you to rescale it. That was 2 minutes. And hopefully that'll have made a difference. Ladies, I'd like you to introduce you to Joanna, although I have a feeling some of you might already know her.
Meet Joanna. Joanna is a busy CEO and a mum to Sam and Laura. Each and every day, Joanna stretches herself just a little more. She runs a large international business, dealing with clients, planning budgets, attending trade shows and strategising about the business's future. It's all quite literally wee buns in comparison to her other job. In her other world, Joanna is wife and mother. She spends her time planning trips, organising birthdays, dealing with health issues, receiving school reports, juggling finances and making sure her 2 little ones are kept out of mischief. Joanna's worn out, sleep deprived and exhausted. Every day she feels like she has a mountain to climb. Let's be honest, she doesn't get a lot of help in her day-to-day life. There isn't a lot of time for Joanna to be, well, Joanna. And now the cracks are really starting to show. A friend introduced Joanna to HydroEase in their raft programme. Using their effective, evidence-based approaches, they were able to work together to reduce her stress and eliminate her sleep problems, which all totally disappeared after just a few sessions. Joanna and HydroEase worked together to vastly improve her quality of life. And perhaps most importantly, Joanna was able to reach out and connect with the most important person in the world, herself. The raft programme from HydroEase put Joanna back at the centre of her world. Are you in a difficult place right now? Could you do with a little help to de-stress and to focus on a better you? Look at Joanna now. She's exactly where she deserves to be. Yep, Joanna has conquered that mountain.
Yay,
Could we support you
Joanna.
to get there too? Phone 02895.
I'll put it back. Thank you for your attention. Any questions or comments? I know we're running short for time, so if anybody has anything they'd like to ask, I'll be hanging about. I'll be in the pub later as well, so I'll be there. And here's all my contact details. And I'll hand you back over to Sinead.